Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and give you the clarity you need on complex topics. Today, we're tackling a real head-scratcher, something that's tripped up search engines for, well, ages really. Figuring out who Tami Monroe actually is, or rather, who they are.
It really is a fascinating case of digital doppelgangers. You type in that name, Tami Monroe, maybe with a slight spelling variation, and boom, you get two completely different narratives staring back at you. One's a major name from the 90s adult film world.
And the other?
The other is an environmental activist who started a huge global campaign, but like 20 years later.
Exactly, and your brain just wants to merge them, right? But the facts, the timelines, they just don't line up. So for you listening, that's our job today. Untangle these two separate lives. We'll start with the performer, Tami Monroe, get her story straight.
Lay out her career, her impact.
Precisely. Then we'll make a clear shift and look at the activist, Tami Monroe Canal, and her grassroots movement.
Okay, let's begin with Tami Monroe, the performer. Her career really did make waves back in the 1990s.
Right. So the records show she was born March 6, 1970. That's Astoria, Queens, New York City. She jumped into the industry pretty young, around 1989, so just 18. And she had a solid run, about 12 years, give or take, ending around 2001. We're talking actress, model, dancer, the whole package in that industry.
And one thing that pops up immediately in the sources, something really emphasized, was a unique physical characteristic. She was often described quite specifically as the world's smallest adult performer.
Yeah, that detail really stuck. It became part of her brand, her stature. She was petite, 4'10", maybe 90 pounds soaking wet, but definitely made an impression. Blonde hair, those specific measurements, 34E, enhanced features. It's kind of interesting how 90s marketing really zeroed in on those kinds of unique, almost record-breaking descriptors.
Totally. And it clearly worked for her. That unique image led to significant success. Started in New York, like you said, but things really took off when she moved to Southern California. That's when Caballero Home Video picked her up.
Ah, Caballero.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, Caballero was, one of the titans back then. A foundational studio. Getting signed by them, that signals you've arrived. It says a lot about how quickly she rose.
That's the key, isn't it? She wasn't just in films. She was a marketable star. And the industry recognized it. By 1999, she gets inducted into the AVN Hall of Fame.
AVN being Adult Video News, the industry's main trade publication, basically their Oscars.
Exactly. So that Hall of Fame induction, that cemented her legacy.
Oh, yeah.
A genuine superstar of that specific era.
No question, top tier. But this is also where tracking people in that industry gets tricky for researchers, or even just for us trying to piece it together now. The aliases. So many aliases.
Oh, absolutely. You need a scorecard. Besides Tami Monroe, she pops up as Tami Monroe with 2 M's. Then there's Angel Carlisle, Darcy Derringer, Courtney Hill, Angel Carlisle. It's a list.
Imagine trying to build a definitive filmography, cross-referencing over 70 films across different databases with all those names. It's a huge task.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Even for someone who is a recognized star, how much work did it take then to keep track? It speaks volumes about, well, the kind of fragmented record-keeping back then.
But personal connections sometimes help pin things down. Like, we know her family. She's the older sister of Tara Monroe, who was also in the industry but is retired now.
Right. And they appeared together, sort of.
Yeah.
Co-presented an award at the 94 AVN Awards. They were both in that 1993 movie Sisters, though the info says they were in different scenes. Still a connection.
And her personal life also intersected with the business side. 2 marriages that stand out in the records. A very brief one early on, 89 to 90, to a film musician, Dana Strum.
Yep.
But the later one seems more significant industry-wise. She was married to Charles Zachary, a porn producer sometimes known as Chuck Zane, and that marriage lasted until 2002.
Interesting. So right up until after her main performing years seemed to wind down around 2001. We should maybe circle back to that later.
Definitely worth noting. Now, about her films, you mentioned over 70 titles. Looking at IMDb scores, which, take with a grain of salt.
Always.
But it suggests she wasn't just pigeonholed. Yes, known for specialty and fetish work, but the genres listed include adult, obviously, but also comedy, adventure, fantasy, even westerns.
Westerns, okay. That's
expected, right. And some titles did get noticeably higher scores, suggesting maybe broader appeal or perhaps just more memorable productions. Things like Swedish Erotica Featurettes 1 with an 8.2, Headlock at 7.4, Sorority Sex Kittens 2 getting a 7.3.
So she had visibility, and there was even a film called Sins of Tami Monroe in 91. The title alone tells you she was a known entity, even if the cast details are missing now.
Exactly. So that's Tami Monroe, the performer, the Hall of Famer, active mainly from 89 to about 2001. clearly defined.
Okay. Solidly established. Now,
Right.
we need to pivot
Yeah.
carefully because 2 decades later, another name emerges, causing all this confusion. Tami Monroe Canal.
And the first, most crucial thing, the age gap. Tami Monroe Canal was born in 1982. That's 12 years after the performer. Different person entirely.
Completely different life path, too. She's described as an environmental activist, a mother of two. Before her activism took off, she spent about 10 years working service industry jobs, waitress, bartender.
And her entry into activism wasn't gradual. It was sparked by a specific event, a political moment that really angered her.
Yes, this was back in November 2012. She was in California at the time. It was a fight over California Proposition 37.
Ah, Prop 37, that was a big one. A ballot initiative that would have required mandatory labeling for genetically modified foods, GMOs, and Monsanto, the agrochemical giant, lobbied heavily, successfully defeating it. That defeat sent shockwaves through activist communities.
It sounds like it hit Tami Monroe Canal personally. And then things intensified for her after she moved. She relocated to Salt Lake City, Utah, and there she apparently found it really difficult to find fresh food without GMOs.
So the political became very personal. It wasn't an abstract issue anymore. It was about feeding her family.
Right. And this is where frustration turns into action. She didn't just complain, she did something. February 28, 2013, just a few months after the Prop 37 defeat, she launches a Facebook page. The goal: raise awareness about GMOs.
And the response was, well, immediate and huge. This is 2013, remember, kind of peak Facebook organizing era. The speed was incredible. By May 21st, so less than 3 months later, that page had something like 85,000 members.
Wow.
Yeah, and 110,000 likes, roughly 40,000 people visiting it daily. It just exploded.
That kind of viral growth is staggering. It clearly tapped into something widespread.
Absolutely. It showed her campaign, the March Against Monsanto, or MA, wasn't just her anger. It reflected a much broader concern about corporate influence on the food supply. That rapid success basically launched her onto the international stage almost overnight.
And it wasn't just online chatter. MAM became a real-world international movement. Political, social, definitely grassroots. The sources mentioned protests against Monsanto being organized and held in 55 countries.
55 countries. Coordinated largely through social media, initially by someone who, just months before, was working as a bartender. It's an amazing story of modern activism.
It truly is. So when you step back and look at both stories,
It becomes so clear. You have Tami Monroe, the performer, gaining fame and industry honors in the late 80s and 90s, a pre-mainstream internet era, largely. Then, completely separately, 2 decades later, you have Tami Monroe Canal using the tools of the digital age social media to build a global environmental movement from scratch.
two women achieving significant recognition under very similar names, but in totally different fields in different times. The digital overlap just made the confusion understandable, maybe even inevitable.
But the timelines really are the key differentiator. The performer's main career starting in 1989, the activist's major campaign kicking off in 2013, miles apart.
And digging into those details allows us to see them clearly, to appreciate the specific, very different achievements of both individuals. One reshaping a niche entertainment industry, the other sparking a global protest movement.
Right. And maybe one last thought to leave you with. Circling back to Tami Monroe, the performer, we mentioned her marriage to the producer, Charles Zachary, lasting until 2002, just after her documented performing career seems to end around 2001. Now, we don't have concrete details beyond that, but it's very common for performers in that industry to transition into other roles, producing, directing, casting, managing talent. That sustained connection to a producer after her peak performing years. Oh, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does suggest a potential continued involvement behind the scenes, a common path, but one that's often not as publicly documented as the performing career itself.
Exactly. It hints at the close-knit, often long-term professional, maybe even familial networks that operate within that industry. Something to think about, how those connections persist long after the cameras stop rolling.